Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Simplify at MKS. This is the manager training for hiring with Meredith and I. So this screen is the manager dashboard. When you initially log in, this is what your view will look like. You'll log in using single sign-on. So that's very simple. You'll see that Meredith is currently piloting Andreas, his manager account. So when jobs are created in Workday, you're going to see those jobs come over from Workday into Simplify. Those will then come to us and we'll begin the recruiting process. So the way things stand, your job has been created in Workday. It's now in Simplify. Recruiting has begun and there are now resumes to review. And so when you get resumes to review, you will see in your pending actions at the dashboard right at the top there, it'll give you your number of resumes, the little bell meaning that you have an action to complete. So Meredith is going to show us what it would look like for a manager to go through that process.
Yes. So like John said, this is the manager dashboard. This is kind of what you'll see when you log into Simplify. The pending actions, you'll see, like John had mentioned, a lot of the bells and the number of actions that you have under each task. On the left-hand side, you will see these little widgets over here. Essentially, you can get to the action items on your right by clicking any of these widgets, and we'll kind of show you how those work in a bit. To jump right in, active jobs. This will show all of your active jobs that you have that have been pulled over from Workday. You can click on the active jobs button and you can kind of see all of the roles that you have, how many positions you have, how many you've hired, and how many submissions you have based on that one job. To also get to this same exact page, again, using the widgets, you can click jobs and it will bring you to that exact same list. So again, it's your preference on how you navigate the Simplify dashboard, but those are your two options. Over here on the right-hand side, you can see you have 3 resumes to review. So you can click on that. As you can see, these 3 resumes are as shortlisted. So you haven't viewed these candidates yet. Once you do click into a candidate's profile, this status will move to client reviewed. Before we kind of get into there, we'll go back to dashboard. Again, you can go under the submission widget over here, and you'll be able to see those as well. You can see here, this one is one listed as shortlisted. We have a couple down here, the 3 shortlisted candidates that we just saw on the previous screen. You can see this candidate up here, Edna Mode. She is listed as client reviewed. That does mean that you have looked at her resume, but haven't haven't moved the candidate forward in the process, whether rejecting or approving for interview. So going back to that dashboard, clicking into the resumes to review, we'll click into this profile, Helen Parr. So there's 2 different ways to view the candidate submittal. You can click directly on the candidate's name. You will get a little overview here, and then you click full submission details, and that will bring you to the page. You can also click the action eyeball over here and click view. This will bring you to that page if you did click that blue button at the bottom of the screen. From here, you will be able to see the candidate's profile and the submittal that was sent over for your position. You will be able to see the candidate's resume here displayed. If you do want to download this resume, you can click download here. Let's say that there is maybe another manager within your team that this candidate might be a better fit for. You can click download and shoot that resume off via Outlook or via email. Here, again, is going to be some notes coming over from the submittal. If you click on the rates tab up here, it will be the pay rate that the candidate was sent over at, as well as their overtime bill rate, pay rates, and everything like that. If you do, let's say, think this candidate based on the resume, based on the notes that you have reviewed, you think that they might be a good fit, or whether they are not a good fit, there are some action items up here that you need to take. So before we do it, actually, if you look over here, you're listed as client viewed because you popped into this candidate profile and you viewed the resume. So let's say let's say her resume was not a fit for your role. You can click this reject button. There are several rejection reasons here. So maybe not the best fit for job, or ineligible for rehire, or doesn't meet qualifications. Then you just want to write a little note here as to why you are rejecting this candidate. Once you hit save, and then that candidate will move from client review to rejected. There are these two other buttons over here. We have go to work and we have schedule interview. Go to work, most of you will not use this function in this button, but this button will advance the candidate directly to hire stage. Again, most of you will go into this schedule interview. But if you do have any go to works, or if your team does do go to works, this is advancing the candidate directly to the hire stage, and no interviews are required. So if you click schedule interview, again, most of you will be doing it this way. We'll click right in here. Now, Simplify and Outlook are not, the calendars do not sync with each other. So that being said, you can choose a date and time that works best for you. If you have any preferred dates and times, you can list these here. If you prefer us to go into your calendar, find the date and time that works best. For the date and time, just put in today's date and put a time closest to, right now. Up here, you can change the duration of the interview. So maybe you want an hour interview, change the time zone here. Whether it's a Teams video, a phone interview, or an in-person, you can choose the interview type here. And again, you have these options to put in some recommended interview dates and time. You only have to put in one. And again, if you want us to look into head into your calendar and put in dates and times, you do not need to mark any of these. So we're just going to do again the closest to right now. So we're just going to do that. It does auto default to, let me click back here, that hour time slot for the start and ends. Down here, if you do have any additional information, you can plug it in. Maybe the building is hard to find, the right door, or you have any other information regarding the interview that the candidate needs to bring, or any maybe documentation or anything like that, you can leave it in here. If there is any other guests that you would like to have included in the interviews, maybe any supervisors or leads, you can put their email addresses here. Once you do send an invite, once you have got that date and time, it will come over to my desk as well as Hannah's, and we will work to get this scheduled in your Outlook calendar. So I know John is on the back end. He is going to be pushing this over. So John, if you don't mind doing that.
Thanks, Meredith. Yep. So when you sent the request, it comes over to our side for us to confirm with the team that's doing the recruiting about getting this person in for their interview. So we've now confirmed that we scheduled the interview. So this stage would happen where we would have gone in, put it into your Outlook calendar, and you would have accepted the invite, and then it would be approved in, it would now be approved in the system. So you'll notice that it's now changed. If you went back one screen, I think it would show now that it's right. So it's into the waiting for approval stage. So this means that it's now been approved by the MSP, which is Meredith and I, and the final stage would come from whoever the recruiter was accepting it on behalf of the candidate. So we'll do that now, and then that will take us to the final interview stage. Now, all this will happen behind the scenes without you seeing it, but if you see those changes to the status, that's what they mean. Excuse me. Okay, so the interview's been fully accepted now. So if you refresh the page, Meredith, you see that that's approved. So that means the candidates accepted the interview and everything like that. So we now have our next stage of manager steps. So back to you.
Yep. So I'm just actually going to go back out to the dashboard. And again, you can get there by going. So most likely there's going to be a little lag in getting the interview times and getting the candidate confirmed and seeing it on your calendar. So from when the interview is happening. So again, you'll probably be back in this view to go to the next stage. So if we have that interview, after we have that interview, we want to come in here into the interviews widget. Find the candidate that had recently interviewed. Click on view. Again, now we're back to that same view that we were just on after we refreshed. So here up here, we do have some additional action buttons. So say maybe we need to cancel the interview. Maybe there was a supply chain issue and we no longer can make any hires for this role, or maybe, something had come up in your calendar and we need to cancel that interview. You can hit the cancel interview button here. That will cancel the interview, and you will have to give a reason as to why you are canceling the interview. Let's say the interview did happen and there are three options that you can do. Let's say the candidate did not pass the interview. Maybe it was some qualifications or, various other reasons within here. They weren't interested in the shift that was being offered. And again, just writing some notes in here. Not interested in working second shift. And then you would hit save and that would reject the candidate. There is another option here called interview completed. This is if you want to maybe schedule a second round interview, or maybe the candidate is a great fit, but maybe you're pending approval on that rec. This is kind of where you would go and put that information, or needs to request additional information. Maybe you're looking to view more resumes before you make a decision. This is kind of where you would go from here. And then lastly, we have create offer. So this is the interview went really well. You think this candidate would be a great fit to join your team. You would click on the create offer button. So this would get you to the offer creation page. A lot of this information will pull right over from Workday, including the shift, the GL codes, everything like that will be pulled over. All you need to do is in here, just make sure that the shift times are correct. Scroll down, you'll see the pay rate. You want to make sure that the pay rate, you can alter this if the candidate was sent over at this 18, maybe you think that the candidate deserves, $1 more at 19, you can make the change here at this point in time and what you would like to offer the candidate. Scrolling down here, after we have put in all of our information, we can hit create offer. So now, as you can see, now it goes over to the PMO office, John and I's desk, and we are going to approve and then push this out to the recruiter to extend that offer. So John, if you can on the back end do that, that'd be great.
Yep. So I'm going in and approving this now. If there were any questions that we had at this point, say you did move that pay up that extra $1 and we wanted to confirm it was correct, we would just shoot you a quick note and make sure. But if everything looks good, like this one, everything looks good, we go in, look at everything, go ahead and send that offer out to the recruiter to extend to their respective candidates. So in the stage before, you all probably noticed that there was a series of information about like not to exceed bill rates and some extra details like that. That all comes from Workday, and that's the way the jobs are configured on your MKS Workday instance. If you ever have questions about what you're seeing there, or if something looks particularly out of whack, feel free to ask us. We may not always have the answer, but we do work with your Workday team, and we can usually help to at least know who to ask that right question to. So we're happy to help navigate some of these new fields that are going to look a little foreign when we first start out a little bit new. So we've gone in now and accepted the offer. So if you refresh one more time, Meredith, it should show as fully accepted.
Yeah, yep, there it is.
So now that the offer has been accepted, it goes into what we call the work order stage, which is this is the stage that is where all the onboarding happens. And so the onboarding is all the usual stuff, the background check, the drug test, those initial pieces of getting anybody set up to join, excuse me, to join for MKS. So once we reach this stage, so if you go to the Andreas's work orders list, you should see that that Helen is pending. He has Helen pending. So what that means, pending onboarding, is that this person is going through their onboarding. So we have yet to have them complete their background check and drug test. And so we're currently waiting for those things to finish so that we can finalize their hire. So now I'm going to do that step in the system. So okay, so it's now gone into onboarding.
Yep, so as you can see, the candidate has accepted the offer. If you look across here under contract status, you can see it is in pending onboarding, which just means that the candidate has accepted and is going through the onboarding screen. So drug, background, any of the paperwork that is still ongoing. Once the candidate has completed that, it will be moved over to the onboarding stage. So John, if you wouldn't mind completing
Yep.
the work order.
So just approved the background check and drug test in the work order. So this means it's now completed.
Okay.
And now
Mhm.
they are onboarded. So at the stage where they've been onboarded, they are now officially a part of your team and will have identified a start date. And this is where your contractor gets their timesheet info, and they now exist as one of your active heads, meaning that they are now officially a part of your team. And that completes the contractor onboarding process. You'll now see them in the contracts list for you, meaning that if they say approved and they're in contracts, that means they are an active headcount in your team. And everything has been completed successfully, and they're good to go. One thing to note there is that when this gets approved, this will flow over to Workday from Simplify and help to trigger a lot of the onboarding steps in your ticketing system on that side. If they have anything like physical access badges, if they have computers, if you're somebody who has a team that has laptops issued, this would help to issue all of those requests as well. So that will still happen on the traditional MKS side. That won't change. But that is the completion of the hiring process in Simplify for MKS. Thank you all for your time.